6 points for Oklahoma City in the loss. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander added 24. Chet Holmgren had 20. Game 4 in Indiana on Friday night. The Knicks keep running into roadblocks in their head coaching search. They've asked to speak to 5 coaches around the league and have been turned down all 5 times. The latest, Jason Kidd from Dallas and Billy Donovan from Chicago. Stanley Cup final tonight, Game 4, Oilers and Panthers in Florida. The defending champion Panthers lead the series 2-1. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V26 Tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and more. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
If you want to be an alpha,
you've got to get the winning edge.
It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory
with the winning edge.
You're in the big leagues. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
Off and running in today's edition of Football Full Circle right here on the SportsGrid Radio Network, Sirius Channel 159. Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel talking all things NFL. Scott, it's been a long week, but we haven't spoken about big bad Aaron Rodgers. Arthur Smith came out yesterday and said that the Pittsburgh Steelers aim to have more offensive balance with the Pittsburgh Steelers offense in 2025, which is, to me, a complete joke considering that they brought in last year Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. You remember Russell Wilson with a 400-yard passing performance against Cincinnati on the road. After that, Arthur Smith had alligator arms. He was afraid to call one passing play, and they limped out of the playoffs. Big picture, is Aaron Rodgers an upgrade from last year's offense with Arthur Smith?
No, I don't think so, Joe. I think this has got disaster written all over it. So this is the family issue that kept him out of camp. Well, out of signing it anyway, a contract with Pittsburgh for what, 2 months, really 3 months maybe? This is it? He got married? Or is there something more to that? None of these dopey reporters could figure that out. No, old school, you'd be scouting him out at his house, seeing him go inside a house, see him with his wife and everything. And I don't think it would take too much investigative reporting to figure out, okay, yeah, he's married now. So we had to wait for this. He already said a couple of times, he's got other priorities now that he's got his wife and everything. So if you think he's going to be dedicated to the Pittsburgh Steelers like when he was 25 and trying to win a job from from Brett Favre, you got to be kidding yourself. I mean, he doesn't even be there now, let alone when football season starts. So no, I don't think this is an upgrade. Will they get to 9 wins? Will they get to the postseason like they got last year? You know what? I don't think they will. I think this is going to be the end of that streak for Mike Tomlin of 18, 19, whatever it is, straight seasons without a losing record. I think it ends this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I talked about it with Ben earlier in the week. I said I would take an absolute shot under 6.5 wins, which is plus money at plus 220, strictly because the locker room. That's the biggest thing when you talk about continuity and you talk about players bought in. He brought up dedication now to his life partner. He gets married, right? Is he checked in or is he checked out as it relates to the organization? And big picture, I think, even though Mike Tomlin's been able to patch together winning seasons and get to the 8 or 9 wins in consistent years and be that guy to show consistency, he hasn't elevated this team to an AFC championship in over, 6, 7, 8 years now, right? So when you look at the big picture, if they do, let's say, fail, and let's say you're right and we're right that Pittsburgh is under 500, Is this the last year for Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh?
I don't think so. I mean, unless he wants out, I'd be surprised if they actually pushed him out, with the fans' pressure. I'm more curious to see, Joe, would the fans finally turn on him, right? It's always been everyone else's fault, whether it's Antonio Brown or, pick any of the other, the bozos they've had on that, I'll keep it clean, bozos they've had on that football team. He's gotten away scot-clean, not being responsible for any of that stuff. But ultimately, if the fans turn on him, will the Pittsburgh Steeler fan finally say, you know what, he was great, but it's time to move on? Then maybe. And I don't know how the Pittsburgh Steeler fan, they got to be frustrated, right? You see all these teams getting better and better and better. All these young quarterbacks, they could have drafted Shedeur Sanders, maybe not first, second round, but maybe third or fourth round. They stayed away from that for whatever reason. I think that's a bad sign. So I would, I don't think he'll be gone next year, but I don't think they're going to have success this season, no.
No, I don't either. I do believe potentially this is his last season. The reason why I say that, Scott, is because he has built this situation, right? They strictly held out last year for Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. They thought maybe Fields would be there. He moves on to the New York Jets, and it's a patch and plug and play type of quarterback that they had. They didn't get it right with Kenny Pickett. And again, they haven't separated themselves from any of the other teams in terms of the AFC that they have to compete with. They don't have the quarterback advantage against Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. They don't have it with Josh Allen in Buffalo. They don't have it against Pat Mahomes in Kansas City. So when you look at the measuring stick as a whole, then they don't have it with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, right? One of the most explosive offenses in the AFC and all of the NFL. So if you can't compete with all four of those quarterbacks in the conference, how are you supposed to challenge for an AFC championship? And I've said this time and time again, from a scoring perspective, their defense is top 10, but this isn't the same physical defense that we saw 10, 15 years ago with Mike Tomlin, where they dominate the NFL and they can carry themselves to a Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even mentioned Justin Herbert. Heck, C.J. Stroud. You can even throw our guy, maybe even Tua Tags I'd rather have than Aaron Rodgers. And that's just the AFC. That's not even mentioning the NFC. So they are a long, long, long ways away from really being good. They're just living in purgatory. One last gasp, you would have thought, Joe, or at least I would have thought that last year was the last gasp, right? We tried to bring the veteran quarterback. We tried to bring the young guy in. Neither one worked out. So now we go draft the young guy, and they really didn't do that. And they're just what? They're going to appease the fan base. They're going to appease Mike Tomlin for getting to 9 wins maybe with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's been 4 years since Aaron Rodgers has really been good. When you think about it, he wasn't awful last year, but so many games when push came to shove, final drive, chance to win the game for the Jets, he failed every single game. So that tells me he's obviously on the decline. Then you throw in the year he was hurt, he didn't play. Then you throw the last year in Green Bay, he really wasn't any good. No. You have to go back like 2 years before he left Green Bay. That's 4 seasons ago. And now he's a year older. And with more distractions, obviously, in his life. I just don't see it. If I was a betting man, the only thing that's encouraging if I'm a Steeler fan, Joe, is that he only got, and I say only, $13 million guaranteed, right? Can make up to 19 apparently. Like, I think most people figured he was going to get 20, 25 million. I mean, if he's coming back for only 13, then, that shows he's a little bit dedicated versus just coming back for a big monster. Like I said, $25, $30 million paycheck. Who could say no to that? But he, with all the money he's made, he could say no to 13 million. So that shows he kind of wants to play, but I just don't see it.
No, I'm with you. I agreed. And I think this team potentially could be the worst in the division. I know a lot of people believe Cleveland will be that team. But again, if things go off the rails early, just what we saw with the New York Jets, it can implode on Mike Tomlin. The other situation that I do want to bring up is Daniel Jones in Indianapolis. Now the front runner potentially with the injury to AR to start week number 1. He's minus 136, or at least that was the line yesterday. Can Daniel Jones have the type of progression that we potentially saw with Sam Darnold and even Baker Mayfield with Tampa Bay and last year with Darnold with Minnesota? Can he elevate the Colts to potentially a wild card appearance?
Could he? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. He's got some weapons there. They're great running back. I mean, on paper, the Colts should be a little bit better than what they've been over the last couple of years. It's been the quarterback issue. I fully expect him with the AR injury. Now, he should be healthy for training camp and everything, but I fully expect it to be Daniel Jones starting. But it's still Daniel Jones, Joe. Could he get to 9 wins, especially with the extra home game? Yeah, especially in that division. Yeah, but it's fool's gold. I've seen enough of him here in New York. He stinks. I mean, he's just an accident waiting to happen. Drive 90 yards down the field, turn the ball over, fumble the ball, take a stupid sack. That's been Daniel Jones. It's why he's still in the league, because he's capable of going 90 yards. And it's why he's never, really won a big game in his life outside of maybe the Viking playoff game, because he just makes silly mistakes time after time after time in the worst moments. So is it an upgrade? Yes, it clearly is. But, if you're a Colts fan, does that mean you've already decided Anthony Richardson's not going to be your guy then? Have you moved on from him?
We'll see. Same shoulder injury that kept him out for much of the regular season last year. We'll see how he progresses. When Scott and I return, we'll dive into playoff odds right here on Football Full Circle.
Four out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. And we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin.
He just gives that vibe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Wendy's. One of the world's most active volcanoes, Kilauea on Hawaii's Big Island, began spewing lava from the north vent on Wednesday, the latest event in an ongoing eruption that began almost 6 months ago. Lava fountains reached heights of more than 330 feet and feeding multiple lava streams. Scientists with the U.S. Geological Survey's Hawaiian Volcano Observatory said the fountains were likely to go higher. A bid for bail by former U.S. Senator Robert Menendez while he appeals his bribery conviction was rejected Wednesday by a federal appeals court a week before the veteran New Jersey politician is scheduled to report to prison. The 71-year-old was convicted last July of selling his clout for bribes. FBI agents who searched his home 3 years ago found $480,000, some of it stuffed inside boots and jacket pockets, gold bars worth an estimated $150,000, and a luxury convertible in the garage. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. Smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
There's something you should know and always remember.
SportsGrid does not increase luck.
We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck,
go find a horseshoe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, back on Football Full Circle. We left off with the situation in Indianapolis. Daniel Jones right now slated to be the week 1 starter with the injury to Anthony Richardson. I said, let's take a look at the playoff odds as it relates to Indianapolis. Not bad, Scotty. You talk about the playoff odds for the Colts to make the playoffs, plus 186, which, not bad. If you think about it, you get a veteran. You have Jonathan Taylor, Steichen 8-9 last year, first year with the club 9-8. I mean, that's almost a 2-to-1 number in a conference that's open, but in a division that's winnable. Even though Houston on paper is the front runner, would you make that bet at plus 186?
I wouldn't make that bet, but if I'm going to bet them, Joe, I would bet them then to win the division at plus 310. It's considerably more, right? It's not just like 10, 20, 30 cents more. It's a lot more. And what are the chances realistically in a conference that has Buffalo and Miami and Cincinnati and Baltimore and the Chargers and the Broncos and on and on and on for them to win as a wild card? Like, could you make the case maybe they win the division? Things don't go well with C.J. Stroud. Maybe he gets hurt, whatever the case may be. Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to be so good that they would get in as a wild card over all those other potential wild card teams. There's no sense to me grabbing the 180 and change when I can get them at plus 310, and that's the most realistic route for them to get into the postseason, winning the AFC South.
I understand. I just feel like it gives you like a body of where, like, yes, you're right. 310 is a great number for them to win the division. As we know, it could be a potential coin flip in terms of the AFC South. They played Week 17 a couple of years ago, lost out to the Houston Texans where they lost that game at home.
Right,
but again,
home,
plus 180, right? Plus 186, you think about it, and you're right. The Chargers trending, Denver trending. And you can make the argument that game against Denver where Jonathan Taylor drops the football on the 1 yard line, they pull that game out. Right, things are different in respect to that team at the end of the regular season. But 186, almost 2-1, Scott. I mean, let's just say they go 10-7, they lose out to Jacksonville. They'll be competing with other teams in the AFC for a wild card. I mean, it's almost 2-1. Could it be plus 250? Could it be 3? Like, what would make you say, I want the bet to make the playoffs as a wild card? Because this still encompasses them winning the division, right? So you're not getting the 3-1 number, but you're almost getting 2/3 in terms of the price. So why wouldn't you jump on that? And do we expect Miami, New England, the Jets? Probably not. It's only Buffalo in the AFC East. When you look at the other AFC West, Chargers and Denver, those are the only two teams outside the Chiefs that you're competing with, and the Bengals. But if the Bengals get off to a slow start, anything's possible.
Yeah. If it was 250, I'd say, okay, you know what? I'll take the, it's not that far off from the 310, but I will say this, the two teams that they might be vying for as far as wild card spots, Miami and Denver, both those games are at home to open up the season. So you got to look at their schedule and say, all right, who's going to have the wild card tiebreaker, right? Head-to-head is the first one. So you look and see, all right, they got Miami and Denver, two teams they could be battling. They're at home. It is an easy schedule. I will say they play the AFC West, but other than that, they got Seattle on there, or San Francisco on there. But there's no Baltimore, there's no Buffalo, there's no, Cincinnati, there's no Green Bay, there's no Detroit. None of the big boys in the NFC outside of San Fran, and I don't know really what we're going to get out of San Francisco. So it's a pretty easy schedule for them to go 10-7. But when push comes to shove, I don't want to root for Danny Nichols. I don't want to root for him.
That's part of it.
That's part of it. I don't want to root for him. Yeah. So, but it is, listen, it is a pretty easy schedule. For the first 6 you're at home. I mean, you look at that home schedule, right? Let's say they start Daniel Jones, which I think they're going to do, right, with the injury and everything else. Miami, Denver, both winnable. At Tennessee, winnable. All right, at the Rams is probably a loss. And then Las Vegas and Arizona at home. I mean, if they're any kind of football team, Joe, they could be, I'm not going to say 5-1, but they could be 4-2, split Miami, Denver, split at Tennessee and at the Rams. And then win against Vegas and Arizona at home. I know you love Arizona, but still, if you're going to be a playoff team, you got to win those games, right? It's not 4-2, you're on your way, I will say.
I like the 186. Even though it's Daniel Jones, I would be willing to take a shot at plus the 186. To your point, there's not one team in the area of 250. The only one is Carolina at plus 235. Then it jumps to the Raiders at plus 310. So we'll see how it plays out. The other prop that really stood out to me was the Jonathan Taylor prop to lead the league in rushing, right? They have Saquon and Derrick Henry as the front runners. You have Jonathan Taylor at 26-1 with Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. Would you take a shot on Jonathan Taylor? I mean, it's almost 30-1, Scott. That's not bad value either knowing that they want to run the football with Daniel Jones potentially at the helm.
Yeah, and again, with that, relatively easy schedule, too, you're going to be able to score some points. That's actually not that bad. I'm not wishing this on anyone, but, the Saquon is certainly due for an injury, right? It's not like he's been, injury-free his entire career. He's overdue for an injury. And Derrick Henry had a great year last year, but if you feed the ball to, him, he's got to get those yards, So that's 26-1, huh?
Yeah.
That's Taylor's a good back. He's no slouch. He's no middle of the road, and it's basically just him. He's going to get 20 to 25 carries. So that's actually not bad. I like that.
No, it's not. It's not bad. They also have now on FanDuel, which is fantastic, 1,000-yard rushers, 1,250, 1,500. For 1,500 on Jonathan Taylor is plus 360. The 1,250, Scott, for Jonathan Taylor's minus 340. So I would take a shot on the 1,500 at almost 4-1.
He goes from minus 340 to like that. Wow. He ran for 1,400 yards last year in only 14 games.
Right.
He can
Juicy will come back with more rushing props right here on Football Full Circle.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1991, the NBA Finals. The Chicago Bulls beat the LA Lakers 108-101 in Game 5. It's their first of 3 straight titles. Michael Jordan is named the series MVP in his first NBA Finals appearance.
Pippen comes away with it, and the Chicago Bulls have won their first ever NBA championship.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
New University of Geneva research suggests AI better at understanding human emotional intelligence than most humans.
Is this Tech Minute about something serious, or are you just really, really good at pretending?
No, 6 generative AIs actually tested 30% better than humans on standard emotional intelligence tests.
If nothing else, I'm really good at creative guessing.
Even wilder, AI generated new emotional intelligence tests from originals as useful as the ones humans took years to develop.
It's like a party where I know everyone but don't remember their name.
Meaning AI might replace human psychologists, but only when supervised by humans. For now, anyway.
My deepest fear, knowing the answer 5 minutes before I'm asked.
Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Carver and Lisi.
Oilers goal. Look who it is. It's Corey Perry, Joe. It was Perry who scored. We didn't play him for the goal. You should have played him for the goal. Why didn't you talk me into it more? You said Perry to score.
I said one. Don't start with me. I've been hot with the goal scorers. You're not so smart with the goal score. I know what I'm talking about.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. There comes a point when the chips are down.
To coin a phrase.
When the only thing you can do is stop and wait. Do you want to face that moment prepared?
Or rely on luck?
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, continuing the conversation, Scott and I left off talking about 1,500 rushing yards for Jonathan Taylor. They have 1,250, 1,000, 1,500. I think it goes up to, let me just double check, 2,000 up on FanDuel. And we'll start to see more and more props come up available on FanDuel. They do a fantastic job in terms of the NFL and college markets. You think it's great value. You rush for 1,400. But let's look at some of the other guys, Scott, at the 1,250 mark, right? Saquon minus 340. Derrick Henry minus 175. Jonathan Taylor for 1,250. 1,250, could that be right? No. Plus 105 now, Scotty, for 1,250. Maybe I'm looking at that wrong. He was minus 340. I could have sworn not too long ago. Oh, no, you know what? 1,000, he was minus 340. 1,250, he was plus 105, which plus money for Jonathan Taylor. He rushed for 1,400 last week. Bijan is plus 105. Ashton Genty, the rookie out of Las Vegas, 2-1. And Josh Jacobs for Green Bay, also 2-1. I have to be honest. I would take a shot on everybody. Bijan, Genty, Jacobs, and Taylor at all plus money.
Yeah. I was right. I didn't realize how right I was, Joe, when I said Taylor is basically the only guy that gets the ball for the Colts. I looked up his numbers there. Their second leading rusher last year was Anthony Richardson, their quarterback. The third leading rusher, Trey Sermon, he had 150, only 159 yards. So it was all Jonathan Taylor. And that came with Taylor not even playing 3 games. So it is just, Jonathan Taylor and nothing else. So you're basically betting, like a lot of these, you're betting on him to stay healthy. That's all you're doing with some of these props. And the good thing is you can put these in parlays too. You can put like 2 guys right now anyway. You can put them in parlays.
Well, let's do it. Let's do Bijan. Let's do Jonathan Taylor, and let's do Josh Jacobs. If you do that, it's 1160, Scott. I mean,
1250 or 1,000 yards.
1250.
1250. Who was the?
What do you think?
Jacobs, BJ, and Taylor.
Yeah,
that's not bad. You want to throw Derrick Henry in there? Is he not going to get 1250?
1881.
I have more confidence in
1881, Scott. There's more running backs there if you want to add them to the mix. You want to throw Jahmyr Gibbs or Bucky Irving in that, or Kyron Williams? You tell me. This is a juicy market for me. I have to be honest, because, I mean, we're talking about a workhorse in Jonathan Taylor. How could you give him plus 105? I just don't see it.
Yeah. Well, he's not, like I said, Joe, we looked at this stuff before, and whether it's passing yards, receiving yards, rushing yards, it all comes down to if the guy stays healthy, they'll get these numbers because they've historically gotten these numbers. You're just betting, on these guys staying healthy. So I wouldn't put Saquon. I wouldn't bet on him staying healthy because he's just been hurt all the time. Derrick Henry, a little older, so maybe you'd be a little leery with him. But Taylor, Robinson, you want to put Genty in there or Josh Jacobs, younger guys. Jacobs got to come somewhere and tear at him. But that's what I would do Bucky Irving at plus 290. But I would probably go down to 1,000 yards. I would go to 1,000 and then really make it like, okay, the guy could even miss 3 games and still get 1,000 yards. You're playing 17 games, for goodness sakes.
Right. Well, here's the thing, and I'll throw an outlier on there on some of these guys that you can make or break a parlay based off that. Christian McCaffrey, if he stays healthy, is going to get the ball enough to rush for 1,250. Right? He's almost 4-1, Scott. Now, the outlier with that is he's a chandelier throughout his career, right? When they made it to the Super Bowl with Christian McCaffrey, he was 100% healthy. He broke down, has the Achilles tendonitis in both legs entering 2025. But if he's healthy and they feed him, he's going to blow through that number. If you take out Derrick Henry, let's just say, right, and put in Christian McCaffrey into that parlay, you're talking about now 59-51, Scott. Which is a huge jump when you think about it. I mean, plus 380 on FanDuel, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, and Christian McCaffrey. It's a lottery ticket, but it's worth the shot, no?
It's not bad. Not bad. You had 7 guys rush for 1,250 or more. Over 15 for 1,000 last year.
Wow. We'll come back. We'll talk more prop markets in the AFC and NFC right here on Football Full Circle. Keep it where it is.
The winning edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Stanley Cup Final tonight, Game 4, Oilers and Panthers in Florida. The defending champion Panthers lead the series 2-1. The Knicks keep running into roadblocks in their head coaching search. They've asked to speak to 5 coaches around the league and have been turned down all 5 times. The latest, Jason Kidd from Dallas and Billy Donovan from Chicago. NBA Finals, the Pacers beat the Thunder 116-107 to go up 2-1 in the best of 7. Tyrese Halliburton just missed a triple-double. He had 22 points, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds in the win. Benedict Mathurin had 27 points off the bench. Pascal Siakam had 21 points for Indiana, which hasn't lost back-to-back games in 3 months. Jalen Williams had 26 points for Oklahoma City in the loss. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander added 24. Chet Holmgren had 20. Game 4 in Indiana on Friday night. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MAP to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MAP for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MAP for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
You're listening to Sports Grid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, diving into the prop markets, we looked at the Russian props for 2025, and this is great. You could parlay multiple players to get 1,000, 1,250, 1,500, and even 2,000 yards on FanDuel. Let's go over to the receivers because this is intriguing, Scott. They start at 750 and go all the way up to 1,500. So pick a category, almost like Jeopardy. You want to start at 750, 1,000? Let's do 1,000.
Let's do 1,000, yeah. Yeah, 1,000 right. Because I will tell you, oddly enough, Joe, real quickly, they only had 6 guys, unlike we had 7 in rushing. We had 6 guys at 1,250 or more, but we have 24 guys at 1,000 or more.
All right, so, and that's good because it also includes tight ends, which is great, and you can combine up to 5 of these in a parlay. So obviously the front runners, Jamar Chase at 10-1, he's chalk with Justin Jefferson, his former LSU teammate, he's minus 700. So minus 1,000 for Jamar Chase, minus 700 for Jefferson, and then Puka Nacua at minus 600. You got C.D. Lamb, Nico Collins, Brian Thomas, A.J. Brown, Malik Neighbors, St. Brown from the Lions, Drake London, Ladd McConkey, and DJ Moore. Those are your top 12 candidates for 1,000 yards. So I'll start. You ready? How about this? With Geno Smith, Brock Bowers, in my opinion, will get 1,000 yards. He's a dominant rookie season, 1,000 yards, minus 125, Scott, for Brock Bowers. You have somebody else you want to throw into the mix?
I will throw in Brian Thomas. And again, this is what we're looking for. Teams that want to throw, right? New head coach. You got Trevor Lawrence there. Young guys that would seemingly have the edge over staying healthy over the guys who've been in the league, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So you got good numbers. He had the number 3 in receiving last year. So let's go Thomas. A little pricey at minus 370, but that's I think that's a solid pick.
I'm going to go a little plus money now then, Scott, and I'm a little shocked at this number, okay, because he's hit this consistently. Mike Evans, plus 105. I'll take that and put him in there. What do you think?
All right. Not in love with it, but just because he's older and some injury issues from last year. But, if he stays healthy, he'll get it for sure with Baker throwing the football all over the place. So I'm okay. I'll throw you one, and this is going to be a little, but I'll still do it. He's got to step up and be the man a little bit more. And that's your boy, because I know you love Arizona. Give me Marvin Harrison Jr. at plus 105.
I love
got
it.
to be better than what he was last year.
He was, and I agree with you. I'm high on this team as a whole, but he's added like 10 to 15 pounds of muscle, which shows dedication. Now, does that equate all of a sudden to productivity? Not necessarily, but I'll take a shot. I was going to suggest him if you didn't like Mike Evans. And then I'm going to go with an outlier, Scott. He's got great value. He's on a Super Bowl winning team. I'm not talking about A.J. Brown, but how about Devontae Smith at plus 175?
Okay. Throw the ball around a little bit. Is he going to be the man? I can live with that. I think they're going to throw the ball a little bit more than running the ball. All right. Well, why him?
I'll tell you what. I'll give you other
doesn't
plus
jump
money.
off the page for me. But
all right. Does Jamison Williams for Detroit at plus 135 jump off the page? But this would be a little dicey, taking Trey McBride with Marvin Harrison, right? We don't want to sort of split up, right? But would you take Devontae Smith or Jamison Williams has a better price at plus 135? Not a better price. I think shorter odds.
I think I'd go Devontae Smith out of those guys.
Okay. That pays 25.42. 25.42.
Right. That's not bad.
You like?
You want to throw out the biggest high price guy is Thomas at minus 370. You want to pull him and go, is Devontae Adams not going to go to the Rams and get a whole bunch of passes, or is that too much with Puka?
How about we put in Malik Neighbors?
Okay. Well, you're only going from 370 to 310 on that one.
All right. So
how about Amon-St. Brown then? That we're going to lower to $160.
All right, St. Brown is $29.70. Where else can we tweak this? You want to take out Evans because you said the injuries, and you want to put in Garrett Wilson instead?
How about Smith and Jigba? He's going to be the number one guy. Is that good or bad news for him? Can he be the number one guy, or does that mean he's going to fall off the map because he's not the number one guy?
JSN is still 105, so we're not turning the needle.
Oh,
we would need a deeper shot. Let me see where else we could go. Let me think. How about this?
Dunze?
How about this? How about Jordan Addison at plus 270?
I like that.
So if we add Jordan Addison into this, Scott, Brock Bowers, Marvin Harrison Jr., Devontae Smith, St. Brown from the Lions, and Jordan Addison, you get 54.42. Oh, that's juicy.
That's
Scott.
juicy.
That is juicy.
I'll give you one option as opposed to Addison. Now, he's a mental midget, but if you want it, 3-1, he'll be the number one wide receiver, Stephon Diggs with the Patriots.
I worry about their offensive identity. I worry about whether he's checked in or checked out. And I worry about if he gets in the doghouse with Vrabel, is he not going to play a full 17 games? That is my concern. Yes or no?
Yeah. It would be risky. There's a reason why they're giving you 3-1 because they're throwing all that.
I would rather take a shot on Jordan Addison that I know is at least a gamer. He's the second option where if Justin Jefferson obviously doesn't, gets locked down or contained, everything underneath should go to Jordan Addison with J.J. McCarthy, right? So you want to take a shot and go Roma Dunze? I mean, with Caleb?
I thought about that. I can live with these five. We can put two in. We'll lock this one in.
I like that one. That one. Scotty, that's not bad.
Yeah.
30 to what? $30 pays $1,600. You want to put 50 on it, it pays $27.21.
Wow. Put them in now, people, because I'm telling you, I've seen many, many times you could put a parlay in today and you try and put that same parlay in tomorrow and they say, nope, we screwed up. We shouldn't have been allowed to parlay.
Well, we gave them two good odds. We can't do it. Right?
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, it's happened many, many, many times. So, all right, so we'll put that one in. Now we'll do a flyer one in.
Right.
Just out of blanks and giggles, how many yards did Travis Kelce have last year? Because he's at the bottom of the road.
He had 600 last year. I think. I could be wrong. I thought it was
not
only
far off. 800. Yeah, 823. Yeah, sorry. So forget him. He's basically done. How about Deebo Samuel then? Can Samuel get 440 with the Skins? Commanders?
I saw him playing. He looked like he was 30 pounds heavier. He looked like he should be playing in the XFL when I saw him. Scott, did you see the highlight of him yesterday?
No.
I suggest you take a look. Terrible.
Wow.
Terrible. And I'll send it to you in the break, and we'll talk about Deebo and Washington's chances coming up next, right here on Football Full Circle. Lisi and Wetzel breaking down the NFL. Keep it where it is.
Saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie.
Just saying.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Wendy's. One of the world's most active volcanoes, Kilauea on Hawaii's Big Island, began spewing lava from the north vent on Wednesday, the latest event in an ongoing eruption that began almost 6 months ago. Lava fountains reached heights of more than 330 feet and feeding multiple lava streams. Scientists with the U.S. Geological Survey's Hawaiian Volcano Observatory said the fountains were likely to go higher. A bid for bail by former U.S. Senator Robert Menendez while he appeals his bribery conviction was rejected Wednesday by a federal appeals court a week before the veteran New Jersey politician is scheduled to report to prison. The 71-year-old was convicted last July of selling his clout for bribes. FBI agents who searched his home 3 years ago found $480,000, some of it stuffed inside boots and jacket pockets, gold bars worth an estimated $150,000, and a luxury convertible in the garage. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-833-0733. 800-833-0733. 800-833-0733.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Remember when you were thankful you could just get AM and FM?
Things have progressed.
Now even an app on your phone can give you a 21st century thrill with that little drop of heaven called
the deposit notification.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, continuing our breakdowns about the prop bets for the receivers. Scott and I put one in. We're going to do another one, right, Scott, for the wide receivers in the NFL. Should we take a shot on the 1,500 or no? You want to go 1,250 maybe? What do you think?
Let's go 1,250. We don't have to use 5 for the 1,250, but we could definitely go 1,250. Bump up the odds.
The 1,250 would be contingent, obviously, on health and whether these guys can obviously blow past the number. So I'll give you the top 3. No no surprise. Jamar Chase minus 180, Jefferson minus 115, Puka Nakua at minus 110. And then we have some positive money. We got CD Lamb at plus 120, Nico Collins at plus 145, and Brian Thomas at plus 145. And then it goes on and on and on. So let me give my first pick, and I'll say I'll take a shot. A.J. Brown at plus 180. What do you think about that?
Okay. I think they're going to be throwing the ball. Like I said, I hate to predict injuries, but I just get a sense that with Philadelphia, things aren't going to go as well in the backfield as they did last season. So, I think that, so AJ for that. And I will tell you this. There's actually two guys that I wouldn't have guessed. If you would have told me, Scott, guess who had 1,250 or more last season? I probably would have gotten 3 or maybe 4 out of the 6, but not two guys. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas, Drake London, I wouldn't have said. Amon St. Brown, I would have said. And then Jerry Jeudy. I never would have said that. All got 1,250.
Jerry Jeudy broke out, remember, in the primetime game when Jameis Winston threw for 500 yards. Jeudy, that was the breakout performance. He had almost 250 in that game. So that really helped him elevate, to that. Prior to that, in terms of Deshaun Watson, we know Deshaun Watson's never thrown for 300 yards in his Cleveland Brown career. So, okay, so give me somebody else that could potentially eclipse 1,250. Make it dicey. Make it good.
All right, I'll go right back to Brian Thomas Jr. Like I said, I think they're going to be throwing the ball. Right. He's only going to get better, right? So get plus 145. I'll grab him.
All right. How about Nico? And I know the injuries. I get it. But, All right, then CD Lamb. I think CD's a definite for 1,250.
Yeah.
Good? All right, so right now we're up to 1,409. Make it good. Take a long shot.
All right. How about I like I'll steal some of your thunder. I like Brock Bowers. I do think they're going to be throwing the ball with Geno. Listen, Geno, get him in the red zone.
You think he's going to get 1,250, Scott?
What he had to have come close to that last year, right? What do you have last year? Yeah, 11, almost 1,200 as a rookie. A little more people paying attention to him. I get that, but you're going to be in shootouts with the Chargers. You're going to be in shootouts with the Chiefs. Not so much the Broncos. Defense stinks. You're gonna be throwing the ball because the opposing teams are going to be scoring 30 points on you. Plus 430. I like that. You don't like that? I'm surprised.
I do like
that 1,200 last year.
I know. But part of it is like he had 1,200 or close to it because the team sucked and they had no offensive identity. Right? He was the only guy. With Pete Carroll, Ashton Genty, and now a veteran quarterback, you got to believe they're going to push the ball down the field or over the top somewhat. It's not going to be all Brock Bowers. I like the pick. Don't get me wrong. What about this? What about Terry McLaurin at plus 430?
Not bad. I like the guy. I thought you might go this way. How about Zay Flowers? At 7-1. Now I know it's Lamar Jackson, but he's good though.
Give me Zay.
Right?
All right, if Scott, almost 119-1. We're at 11,973. Are we putting it in?
Let's put. FanDuel won't allow me to put that in. Hold on a second. What's going on here, FanDuel? When I put the fifth one in, it takes my parlay away.
Well, no. Because, wait a second. You're putting in Brock Bowers. Take Bowers out and put in Zay Flowers.
Okay. Right, there you go. So we can put 4 in with this. We can't put 5 in.
Right.
Okay. So almost 120-1.
What do you think?
CD, AJ, CD definitely, right? I mean, the Cowboys, they're going to be throwing the ball all over the place.
Ryan
Thomas, definitely.
AJ Brown.
AJ we like.
And Zay Flowers.
Yeah. How many Flowers have last year? He really has emerged as the number one guy.
I put it in already. We're in. We are in. We are locked and loaded. All right? This is, Scott, this is juicy. This is good.
Put that in.
Here we go.
Nice.
Now, you know what's funny, Scott? They don't do this, and I'm looking here. They don't do it with the quarterbacks. They don't have a market yet for like 3,000 yards. They have 4,500, and you could combine up to 5. Oh, they do. Here we go.
I got 4,000. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do the quarterbacks.
4,500.
4,000 in the last segment, okay? We'll do 4,000 quarterbacks, and you can combine up to 6 of them, Scott. What do you think about that?
Now, why would they give you 6? Like, why would they give you 6 for some, 5 for some, 4 for others?
Because the odds, because to your point, with the 1,250 receivers, how many receivers did it last year? 6?
6.
So the odds are all plus money. The one when you had 24 receivers that had 1,000 yards last year, you're getting negative prices, right? Minus money. So that's why the odds aren't as great. They don't want to give out lottery tickets and get exposed. So they limit the plus money, and on the ones that have chalk value, we'll take it from there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when we come back, Joe Burrow leads the crew, minus 210. Pat Mahomes at minus 115, and Brock Purdy, Scott, is the third best price with Jared Goff. We'll talk about that coming back from commercial. Keep it where it is.
Luck is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and Sirius XM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
It's stark but true.
You can either listen to SportsGrid for strategies, odds, and more, or you can pay your bills by digging in your couch cushions for change.
Just be sure to wear gloves.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, rounding out the show, and Scott and I will be back all next week. We'll be breaking down these prop markets. By then, I'm sure FanDuel will add on certain categories. We'll break down the 4,000-yard passers. You can combine up to 6 up on FanDuel, and there's some juicy numbers. We talked about the chalk, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, and Brock Purdy. But you look at some of the others, Scott. Tua at plus 165. Trevor Lawrence at plus 170. Justin Herbert at plus 210. Big Bad Bo Nix, your guy, at plus 280. So, I mean, there's some value there. So I'm gonna throw out my first number, okay? And as long as he's healthy, I think he's going to blow through this total. I love his attitude. Team's a contender. Baker Mayfield at plus 135 for me is a 4,000-yard passer.
Yeah, that's pretty good. He's like one of the more under-heralded guys, believe it or not, despite being the number one overall pick, right? But people just kind of blow it out. It's Baker. He actually threw for 4,500 yards last year. Number 3 in the NFL, behind only Goff and Joey B. So I like that. I was going to go there too. So I think Dak at plus 130, say what you want about him in the postseason or in big games. I get all that stuff. He stinks. Dallas stinks. But regular season, again, with that defense being as bad as it is, still no running game. I think he does. You know, you get the mental midget from Pittsburgh there, Pickens as well to help to throw the ball to with him, CeeDee Lamb. I'd be surprised if he stayed healthy. He didn't get to 4,000. So give me Prescott plus 130.
Yep. So my next guy, and I was going to suggest Dak as well, so I'm glad that you put him in there. You know, offensive identity, but you got to believe, knowing that he put up numbers last year. I understand that they made it to the playoffs. They bowed out. I understand it's Harbaugh. But Justin Herbert at plus 210, I just can't shy away from that, Scott. Plus 210, he's got more offensive weapons now. I mean, I know they want to run the football with Najee Harris and that rushing attack, but plus 210, I still think they're going to chuck it.
All right. I like that. I can live with that. I can. How about, he's done this basically every single year. You're not getting plus money, but you're still getting the best quarterback in the NFL to throw for 4,000 yards, which he does, blindfolded. He should get his receivers back healthy. That's Mahomes at minus 115.
All right. So that brings us at 30-32. Can we tweak it in any way? So you like Mahomes, we like Baker, we like Dak.
They roll out one more.
But which one is it? Which one are you willing to go to?
In fact, they allow 2 more. In fact, they allow 2 more, up to 6.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's where you get into trouble. That's where you get into trouble.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of buying into Trevor Lawrence, right? At plus 170.
I mean, we got a huge number now. 83-1. So forget Geno. You want to take a shot? Let's go the third. Let's go like all the rookies last year. Jaden Daniels, Big Bad Bo Nix, Scott, and Caleb Williams. What do you want to do?
Well, they really did help that offensive line with the Bears. New head coach. He's going to want to throw the ball for better or worse. Let's go Caleb Williams, believe it or not.
All right.
He threw for 3,500 last year. And as bad as last year was, he still threw for 3,500.
320-1, Scott. You got to be kidding me. Are we doing this?
Which one did I miss? I got 118-1. I got Mayfield, Prescott, Mahomes, Herbert, Williams.
What about your guy, Trevor Lawrence? Yeah.
Okay, Trevor. Okay.
All right.
320-1. Yeah.
That pays on a $20 ticket, $64.07. There you go.
Yeah, and I tell you, the other thing, people, is sometimes FanDuel does, sometimes don't. I don't know how the other sites work, but they'll offer you cash outs. Some of these goofy season-long prop bets, they won't. They're just say, you know what, we'll take our chances. One of these guys breaks a leg, you lose your bet. So, but if they do, you don't have to have all these. I mean, that's what they're kind of hoping for. Like, one of these guys gets hurt, right? That's the only way these things aren't going to hit. I'm telling you, that's the only way.
It's a sure thing. Free money. According to
I got a 15-length lead coming down the backstretch, with Secretariat here. You can't lose unless he breaks a leg.
We'll be back tomorrow for our great producer, Danny Oler, Scott Wetzel. I'm Joe Lisi. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow on Football Full Circle.
You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge.